Oh yeah, the way you're a busy man, dude.
Yeah, yeah, that's an understatement. But
So
I
we've
just
been.
doing what I'm doing, man.
I found the video. We've been trying to set this up since August 22nd.
Yep, yep.
It's just your schedule and my schedule, just
We're
but now it
we're
works.
what, almost 6 months later. So
This
yeah.
is, and I want everybody to know this is the first part of a planned trilogy. Like tonight, we're going to talk about your little label. I have a lot of comments on your label, by the way. I have a bone to pick with you guys. It's a good one. And then one with the band, because you have a release coming out.
Yep.
And then I've got to get Alex on bass gear.
Sweet. That's amazing. It's so cool, dude. This is gonna be rad.
It's like
Yeah,
one
he's
little
so
thing, and one little thing, and like 25,000 people have access to it. This channel at 12, 13. So way back up there in the big leagues.
that's great. No, that's great. He's such a beast too on bass and an amazing singer and a great guitar player. So it's gonna be cool.
I can honestly say I have never seen a heavy stoner doom bassist quite like him.
There's nobody like him.
And just the footage I have, if I can, I'll insert it of his fingers just. And I thought when I heard you guys, I thought it was all dual layer guitars, right? When I listened to you beforehand, I had no idea how much of the melody and the chord work he's doing on his end.
Yep.
There's very few people that can pull that off.
Yeah, for a trio, we cover a lot of ground.
Speaking of which, now before we get on, this beard of yours, how long have you been growing that bad boy?
Oh, I've probably had a beard for about 13 years. Once I started, you and I have a very similar. You're a little bit more advanced in your male baldness than I am,
Oh,
but not by much, not by much. So once I started losing my hair, I just started growing out a beard, and that was it.
you know, I jokingly say that half of the hell I went through in life wouldn't have happened if I had grown a beard. My ex-wife never would have given me a second look if I had this hair on here. So, the love connection advice, folks, always be yourself.
Oh, always, yeah.
Always be
And it's
yourself.
easier said than done, right? But I mean, yeah, you can't really be anybody else. You just gotta be yourself.
What do you use? What kind of product is going in that bad boy?
I mean, at the moment, I just kind of make sure that I treat it like a head of hair and comb it. And some days is better than others, you know.
No fancy oils, no beard
I mean,
balms. No.
I used to, and I don't really. So at the moment, no. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a really good natural beard, so I need all the help I can get. I was gonna have the can here so I could do a little promo, but
I
wait
like
and see.
I like your beard, and I like a white beard. I think it's cool. And
I like being old.
my dad has like a big white goatee, and it looks really cool on him. I'm not a goatee guy, but so I hope that I'll have a big white beard one day.
Well,
Let's get
that's ever since I turned 60, it just went. It's like Snow White. I had little strips of red from back when I was
yeah.
naturally red hair. I love it. Okay,
I'll
so
be 45 this year, so it'll
oh, you're
going
still a
that way.
kid.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, how far back into the scene do you go, dude? I have a feeling you have one or two stories.
Okay, well, to compare, for example, to like Roman and Alex in Red Mesa, I'm the new guy on the scene. I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico at 30 years old, 2010, to start a desert rock band. I was 30, and I had never been in a band before. I've been fucking around on acoustic guitar, around campfires, and singing and writing songs. In my 20s, I picked up the guitar at 22, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I'm really like the new guy. But for me, I moved there in 2010 to start a desert rock band and ended up being Red Mesa, and I've had the band for 10 years now. Really started it in 2013, put the first album out in 2014 with a whole different rhythm section, and I was like really green on guitar and songwriting. You can hear the trajectory in our albums. By the second album, The Devil in the Desert, I didn't have a band, so I had to I went in the studio and I wrote everything, and I played bass on half the album and did everything on the record with a studio drummer and the same guy that's been recording our albums, Matthew Tobias at Empty House Studio. And then saw Roman that winter, and I was like, hey man, I just got done recording a record. And he's like, oh man, well, hey, do you need a drummer? I'll drum for you. We can start playing shows. And that was probably late 2017 when I was kind of wrapping up the recording of The Devil in the Desert. Put that album out in 2018. Roman joined the band. We went through some bass players and whatnot. And, Roman's been in the band since then. And then we got Alex in 2019, and then it just fucking took off. Yeah. And he's a great songwriter. It just as a trio, it's really great. And it's really refreshing just to kind of hit from all angles, because those guys can sing and play too. So Roman can drum and sing. Alex can play bass and sing. And so now I don't have to do all the vocals, and it's just, holy shit. It's just such a way better experience, man. I love it.
I like that you mentioned the trajectory. To me, the closest I could compare to is Baracho I think they're out of Maryland.
Oh yeah.
They started out one way, it was a little bit more desert, it was a little more simple, and then their last album, mind blowing. And
right.
So we expect the same thing from you guys.
It's just fucking awesome, dude. It is really something special. I'm tired of listening to the songs, but I can't play them live,
Those are two different things, right? There's the studio version, then there's the live version.
Right. I mean, you just get so sick of combing through that shit through the demoing process and the recording process, the mixing process, the mastering process. Then you get your vinyl test presses back, and you're stoked for those, but you're like, God, I don't want to hear these songs anymore. I want to write some new shit.
And while all this is going on, you're running an insane label.
That's correct. I run Desert Records. I've started Desert Records in 2018 to put out The Devil in the Desert by Red Mesa, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. But so honestly, Scott, here's the thing. I was like, if I'm going to do music and I'm kind of new and I don't understand it, why don't I just start a record label? How dumb of an idea is that? And I mean that jokingly. It was like, I need to learn more about the music industry and the business if I'm going to be a better musician. I knew that was hand in hand. And, Jad Schickler from Blues Funeral, and he helps out Ripple and he helps out Magnetic Eye. I mean, he's a fucking, monster label guy. And he did Meteor City Records back in the day. And I met with him. I was like, I'm not trying to pitch you my band. I'm trying to pick your brain on starting a label. And he was a really big mentor for me to help getting going. And I have a totally different approach than what he's doing. I'm friends with Todd from Ripple, and I picked his brain, and they both gave me a lot of confidence to do it. And, Desert Records is totally a niche label. I haven't signed any big bands on it outside of having Fatso Jetson on Legends of the Desert 3.
Yeah.
And, my whole goal has been, and I don't mean that in any way to any of the bands. What I mean is that I haven't had the confidence to go, cool, I'm going to go try to sign, whoever. I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right and doing it properly for everybody that I'm working with before I, really try to step it up or whatever. And it's been a big thing for me to be able to help out bands like Red Mesa, Red Mesa's peers and whatnot that are up and coming, that are working hard, and to give them a platform for them to build off and to grow. And it's really been something, man. If I could tell anybody out there, I don't recommend you start a record label unless you're ready to work on it like every second of your free time.
Yeah, and you've got to be everywhere, right? Facebook, Instagram, talking to the bands, talking to the vinyl guys, talking to guys like me. How many bands do you have in your stable right now?
24, I think.
Yeah, that's the bone I had to pick with you, damn it. So I signed up for this deal, right? I figure I'm going to get all the Red Mesa albums, and I'll get 2 or 3 other things. It's an insane amount of money per month right on Bandcamp. So I have my stuff is organized, right? It's the only part of my life that's organized. But I keep track of the albums so I can get the reviews out and all that. And all of a sudden, I've got like 30 albums taking up, and it's like my whole Bandcamp is screwed up, man. What the
Sorry,
hell?
buddy. I think you got like 50 something albums from me.
Yeah, yeah.
And that subscription on Bandcamp, the Desert Record subscription, and if you don't mind tooting my own horn,
That's why we're here.
like it's a really stupid good deal. Like for $36 a year,
Yeah,
you get 50 something records and 20%
right off the gate.
20% off merch and anything that I put out coming up while you have the subscription. It's a really good deal. So anybody who's out there who's even like doesn't even know that Desert Records exists or has been thinking about it, just go fucking do it. It's stupid good deal. You're gonna get hours and hours and hours of music and the stuff you never listened to, and it's very cool and unique. I'm really not interested in signing what I consider generic stoner rock, desert rock stuff. I got a lot of westerns, spaghetti western stuff and heavy cinematic western stuff. And, kind of cover all the bases with doom and sludge and desert and heavy rock and a lot of heavy psychedelic stuff. So,
And
pretty cool.
and if they're not sure, you've got a sampler that they can just do a taste. It sounds like an infomercial, but wait, Brad, there's more.
Right.
Seriously, I had
What?
I didn't have a clue that you had that big of a catalog.
Yeah,
So I'm on,
I just been
and I'm like, I'm with Ripple. I might as well do this thing, and I still haven't sorted through it all. It would take me 2 days, 24 hours a day minimum to get through your whole catalog. That's just a lot of music.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that. It really means a lot to me, man. For you to subscribe to Desert Records on Bandcamp. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there's no option. It's like I use Spotify on occasion because it's Spotify. I use Tidal, and then as part of the Doom charts, we get like 200 a week.
200 a week now?
Oh yeah, we I think all in all 2,240 albums received votes last year alone.
That's insane, dude. I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, I know that you're doing the same thing. You're just making the time. Stuff, and that's incredible.
I'm totally burned out. I'm going to give a little band a huge shout out. I've been working, attending just like everybody else in the scene. That NAMM gig with bass gear tore me up. I told the family, I said, I don't want any more music today. I'm going to talk to Brad because I'm really looking forward to nothing else. And then this band, I don't know why, but they sign up, they subscribe to us on the Bass Gear YouTube. And I'm like, SUMO. Okay. So I check them out, and it's 3 dudes from Miami. So I check out their music, and it's one of those albums that as soon as I listen to it, I'm fine. I am ready to listen to more music. This band is instrumental. It's not really stoner doom, but it is heavy psych. It's from a completely different point of view. They've got 119 followers, I think, on YouTube. SUMO, dude.
Okay, I'll check them out, dude.
SUMO.
Cool.
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
It's like I got my third wind. And that's what music does for me.
Same for me, and I can add to that, like, because I get the same thing. I get a lot of band submissions. I try to reply and be like, roster's full, and I'm not taking anybody right now, and can't listen to everything, and it's just part of the deal, and I get burned out on it. And there's different ways to do it. And I guess we could talk about that right now.
I really want to.
Where it's like if you're gonna submit to a label, here's how you do it: is you get their email and you send them an email, And in the very first thing you say who you are and where you're from and what kind of music you play. And if you know anything about the label or any bands on the label, you better fucking reference that shit. Because you've got to make some sort of, point of contact. Otherwise, it sounds like you're just hoping to get on a label and you don't even know what the fuck's going on. And excuse my language. I swear a lot. I cuss like a pirate, except for when I'm around my 3-year-old, I think.
Fucking A, man. We can't go on with this shit. God damn it.
That's right. And so, and send your links, send your band photos, EPK, electronic press kit, all that. And just be polite and wait, you can follow up with the label and say, did you get a chance to check it out? Or, are you full or whatever? There's so many bands now and there's so few labels, to be honest, like there's just there's not enough labels. Like I would love to see more labels pop up because I'm saying no to everybody right now, man.
Thank you.
I've got a whole year and a half lined out, through 2025 from Desert Records. And I can't take on more stuff. And there's a need for it. There's a lot of great music being made right now. The bands are really passionate. People are really getting savvy on how to operate as a band in today's genre or generation, which is nothing like the generation that you and I grew up through, even though we're, 15, 20 years apart. Those bands like that made it, like Kiss, could never make it today. Those bands, like Rage Against the Machine could never make it today. Like I'm just throwing out big bands, random bands, just because of the whole landscape is different, and bands have to do everything themselves. And it's horrible. It's horrible and it's great because you have control, but you're what is it? 10,000 songs are getting uploaded to Spotify a day. Mm-hmm. Good luck with that being heard. It's horrible. So labels are really important because if people like a label, they'll get into almost anything you put out. I think that's really important. Bands have to work really hard. I don't know, man. It's a trip. There's no money in it for anybody. Everybody who's doing anything is just doing it for the love of it. I just invest any revenue that I get right back into the label to continue until I feel like I don't want to do this anymore.
Bands reaching out. I've had a handful of bands. I don't get as many as you do, but I get a lot from out of nowhere. Bands not getting it right is one thing. PR companies not getting it right is a totally different thing. I received at least 5 PR emails, no name of the band until like the middle. I have no idea what genre it is. No actual photos. It's just, hey, Clean and Sober Stoner, love your channel. Please check this out. And they give me a Bandcamp link, and I have to pay, if I'm going to listen to it. Put some effort into it.
You know that I started a PR company a year ago, right?
I do.
Desert Bloom. So I'm doing that too, which is like, what am I doing, Scott?
What
the hell is going on over here? I'm doing a lot of stuff, buddy. I hope that what we're sending you is easy to access, everything you need. It's Josh Schneider and I. Josh.
I know Josh. I've met Josh.
Amazing dude. Yeah. And he's a great business partner with me. And honestly, Desert Bloom, we've barely been talking about it, and because we don't have a lot of time to grow it, but it's organically growing. And dude, we're working our tails off on it, and it's going really well for the bands.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even bring that up if you were one of the guys. The other one that's killing it is Good Boy PR. It's Kyle Shasta Beast from Doom Charts. Started his own PR.
Yeah, he hit me up.
Holy crap, he's good.
Cool. Okay, cool.
He is so good. I got one today. I was going to write on the Doom Charts Facebook. It's like, hey, we got to give a shout out to Kyle because he's doing PR right. At first, I'm like, another PR. But then I read it. It's organized. And then over on the right hand is the links to, they give us the WAV file. By the way, if you're sending something to a reviewer, especially one like me, WAV files, don't send me MP3s. Don't send me Spotify links. Don't, because I just put your best foot forward. I think I don't want to sound like all of a sudden I'm a frustrated boomer. Kids, but seriously, put your best foot forward. I've got a couple videos with Pat from Monster Riff, who does consulting work. I've got this is the reason I have Brad on. I've had Todd from King Volume, by the way. Shout out to King Volume.
Todd.
I have never seen the anticipation for Castle Rat. Castle Rat is a band, no albums, couple songs here and there. The best stage show probably in the country right now. Therefore, if you go to their Bandcamp, it's like 100 people that already have it, and it's on pre-order. So Castle Rat's a big one. Oh, yeah.
I'm so proud of Todd. I think that he has done, for a label, he's done what I've always wanted to do, but I just didn't have the time. Or that's one of them. But the big one is I don't really know how to do videos that well.
Oh, man, his stuff is so good.
He is the most hilarious guy I have ever seen on video on a label. That stuff is going to be timeless. It's just, he's so creative and so funny that just go and like follow King Volume on Instagram, you guys. Like,
I'll get the links down below.
He's an hour away from me up in Santa Fe, just killing it. So we got a lot. Yeah,
I didn't know he was in Santa Fe.
Yeah, he's in New Mexico.
I thought he was an East Coast boy.
Well, I mean, maybe originally like me, I'm from Maine, but
that's a nice geographic.
Yeah. But yeah, New Mexico, we're working our tail off down here.
I had no idea he was from Santa Fe.
Yeah, he's I don't know if I should say what band he's in because they're kind of like
he doesn't let me say. Yeah, not allowed to say that. Got to give a shout out to Todd Severin too, with Ripple, who are now the 800-pound gorilla. I'd say they're them and Blues Funeral.
Oh yeah, no,
they signed The Obsessed.
I know. I'm so happy.
Talk about a big hairy set.
I know.
Signed The Obsessed.
It's incredible, and Wino's just like he's sobered up and he's a beast, and just we love him to death, and like big friends of Red Mesa and a really close friend of Roman in the band, and Wino sang on an album on the last album of Red Mesa's, and God, it's just he's a really inspiring guy, both Wino and Todd.
Yeah,
and Ripple via Bucky Brown was the label that discovered Red Mesa and put us on in 2016, the Second Coming of Heavy Volume 4.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. And we were split on that with a band that doesn't exist anymore called Blue Snaggletooth. And there's Ripple still has it on his Bandcamp, but you can hear that's the last 4 songs of the original Red Mesa lineup. It's very desert rock, and then things changed and kind of moved into a totally different, heavier and more psychedelic territory. Yeah, Second Coming Heavy. That was that was our first label. That was the first time we got on vinyl, and that was a big, huge deal for me. And I never forgot that. And honestly, that's how I wanted to kind of tie this back around. That was one that happened to me. I was like, I'm going to do something and give back to bands that deserve that. And Desert Records has been a big part of my whole mission is finding those bands like Sorsha.
Yeah.
Book of Worms.
When you say you don't have big bands, Sorsha, pretty big.
They're so nasty, dude, and they're coming up hard.
Absolutely love them. I forgot Book of Worms is in your stable. Another band, they're a mainstay. I mean, they've been around for quite a while.
Amazing band, Nebula Drag. Amazing band.
Great album, Nebula Drag. One, like the best flashback 70s I think I've heard in ages. There's a lot of retro out there. Some are doing it, and I like it all, right? Some are nailing it, and they absolutely nailed that one. When did that come out?
December.
Okay, I did get it on the list.
A month and a half ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of late. You know, we got it out at the end of the year. We wanted to get it out at the end of the year. It's really good, man.
I know, but if you want a chart, you wanted to get it. Yeah, I say like November at the latest.
Right.
Another piece of advice for bands, and we'll see if you disagree, if you agree or disagree. Do not release your album on 420. Don't do it.
True.
You and about 16,000 other bands are going to be releasing on the same day. You don't want to get lost.
Right. Right.
What else would you say? Like if you didn't have the label, just on the day-to-day experience of being in the band, what do you think are the essentials that a young working band needs to understand in order to survive more than 6 weeks in this scene?
Yeah, that's a good point. Bands break up fast. Bands
They
get
do.
together fast. They break up fast. So number one is communication. Like really clear communication. Do not write anything angry or emotional or frustrated over text. Really?
Yes. No, I know, but
You know,
yeah.
like, if you're the band leader, generally there's one guy in the band or two guys in the band that's doing all the work and everybody else is coming along with it, right? That's just the fucking fact of it. If you're doing that, you have a clear vision of what you want to do and where you want to go and how you want to get there as much as possible and communicate that and ask the guys if they're into that as you're moving along through the year. You know, I mean, in a nutshell, this is a band's year. Doesn't mean like January to December, but this is a band's year. The band is simultaneously writing music to get it ready to be recorded while playing shows locally and figuring out what regional shows they're doing out of the city or the state on a base level. You know, you're practicing at least once a week. Everybody fucking shows up on time. Everybody contributes and plays. You're writing music to get it recorded. You're playing live shows and building up a fan base. You are active on social media, email, making networks with other bands and with PR, with press, and building relationships in the scene. And you don't expect anything. You just be respectful and be kind and treat people the way you want to be treated. And you put it out there and you expect nothing back. And you don't get pissed off or frustrated if nothing happens because it's just your art. And be yourself with it. And in a year cycle, you're going to have music that's recorded. You're going to put album out. You're going to have an album cycle. When you get to the album cycle, you start 3 months before the album comes out. And you start your press, whether you're doing it yourself or you're doing the PR company or your label's doing it for you. If you do not have a label or a PR company, you're fucked.
You are the label. You are the PR company. Yeah.
That means you do everything yourself. If you don't know how to do any of that shit, you need to pay somebody to do it in PR. Period. It doesn't have to be my PR company. I don't care. You have to pay for PR. Why? Because your music will not get heard the way you want it to be. Sorry, that's just how it is. That's a bummer, man. I learned that. I mean, you know, no one listened to the first Red Mesa record. No, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, that's a fact.
So anyway, before we glitched out, and folks, sorry if that, you know, I won't be able to fix that in the edit. I've been doing that all week.
All good. It's one of those things.
Advice to bands, understanding the cycle of the band. You were saying that 3 months before the release of the album, you've got to get your press out.
Yeah.
I can't stress how important that is. I've gotten 5 requests for an interview that they released their album in December. Or, even worse, they're releasing their album today on the 29th, and I didn't get the email till yesterday. There's no way in hell that I'm going to have it. Because when I review, I don't listen to one song and go, oh, this is the greatest thing. I'm listening to it 4-5 times minimum on headphones, on speakers in the car. I want to get a sense. You've got to be ahead of it. This is a brutal reality. Nobody is dying to hear your music.
Absolutely. And I think, if for a little context, why do you need to do 2 or 3 months ahead of time is simply because once an album is already out, no one can, do any premieres of your music, which means if you want to cite to like, oh, we have this single, we'd love people to hear before the album comes out, you can't do that, because you can't premiere something that's already released. And I know that sounds, it's really obvious, but that's a big thing, because getting premieres is really key. You can work with review sites. They can premiere a song. It's really fun. It's great for them. And then two, people are excited these days about what's coming, not what is already out. And so as soon as the album comes out, and I know this from running a record label for almost 6 years, the sales that happen for the bands are always before and on release date, and then it just it trickles out and dies for a lot of music once it's released. And then you got to go tour and play music and sell your stuff on the merch tables as a band. That's very important. If you can't do that, that's okay, but that really would be ideal. And so it's really important to get things out there ahead of time. So reviewers, you guys are so busy. Everybody's so busy. They need a lot of time to get into something, to digest it. If you're getting 2,000 albums a month on the Doom charts to have to comb through, you don't want to give it to them the day before you drop an album. And I understand on the artist side of things, as sort of my last closing point, it is so exciting to share your music as soon as you get your masters back. And I get a lot of bands hit me up on PR and like, it's almost out, it's almost mastered, and we're going to release it on this date. And it's like, slow up. You can't release it next week, even though you're getting your masters back the day before. I know you're super excited for everybody to hear your music, but before you send it out to the world and publicly, you need people who are going to help you to review it and to listen to it and to build buzz around that. It's really, really key. That's just how it is if you want people to listen to music. If you don't care, and that's okay if you don't care. There's bands out there that are awesome. They go, my new album's out. Okay, cool, it's out, But if you really want to try to give your band an opportunity to have people hear and to review it, guys like Scott, you got to do 3 months ahead,
An easy 3 months ahead. You also probably, now I know they're excited, go ahead and release a single. If you want to get buzz, pull a single. What I get concerned with is bands that only release singles. So they got the whole album on single, and then they try to release the album, and I haven't seen that work too well.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It doesn't work that well usually. And it depends on the band. And if, just remember, nobody is Sleep except for Sleep. Sleep can drop an album on 420 without announcing anything like they did with the Sciences 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it'll be great for them.
You're not Sleep.
Trust me, you're not Sleep. Nobody is Sleep. And so other than that, you gotta, a band like they were talking about, Hippie Death Cult. They are a band that work very hard on their end to get their own stuff out. And if you have the ability to do video content, to do really great social media, and to run advertisements, and to really do all that, they're really talented, not only as musicians, but also with graphic artwork and video work and things like that. If you can do that, go for it, because you really can do that a lot on your own. Otherwise you really got to start to commission people out for artwork, for video stuff, for PR, etc.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that a band has to ask themselves, how much is an hour of your time worth? Because you're going to spend 20 hours on Canva, doing your little thing. But if you paid a pro $120, you probably would have saved yourselves a net $80. assuming you think you're a $10 an hour person, if your time is worth $20 an hour, and I'm saying it does cost money to make money. By the way, I don't make a dime off of this. I'm not monetized. I will sell merch. By the time Clean and Sober is monetized, and it will be, I will have sunk $11,000 into this thing. And this didn't grow on a tree. And that's what it takes. As a small site, I'm in the same boat as any band. And if I'm not on Facebook and Instagram, if I'm not constantly promoting, nobody is going to hear. Nobody is dying to read my next blog. Nobody is waking up going, wow, I really need this piece on Red Mesa. You have to let them know that you're there, and you have to give them a reason to read in my case or listen in your case. There's one other aspect that I want to get your opinion on. When you're a new band and you get a gig, you really do want to show up there early, and you want to stay for the whole thing, and you want to help every other band take the drum set down. I swear to God, I saw something I've never seen at that night with you guys. The singer of a band set up a drum set.
Karl?
Yeah, all respect to Karl.
Karl knows what's up, man.
Karl used to sing with Corrosion of Conformity, currently sings with Lie Heavy. I personally witnessed this singer set up a drum set.
Yeah, no, Karl's an old pro, man, and he was a really, really great guy to hang out with. Lie Heavy was awesome. We got to see him sing with the Skull a few days earlier at the Maryland Doom Fest last year. Red Mesa played that on the Thursday, and we got to see them play Friday night. And then we all cruised down the highway and played Sunday in Raleigh and met you, and it was a really great show. That was a really special Sunday night.
That was an amazing show. And Doomsday Prophet, I consider that the best show I've seen in 10 years. And I'm not just saying that. My second or third piece in bass gear is going to be on that gig, and the 3 bass players that were there.
Cool, man. That's dude, I got a lot of footage from that show too. I'll have to send it over to you.
Oh yeah, send me whatever you got.
Yeah, no, that's so cool, man. It was really cool, man. And that was like 3 generations of bands right there, because you got Doomsday. Those guys are young, and they're really doing everything right, and they're working hard, and they're treating everybody good, and they're cool, and Red Mesa's been around for 10 years, and, Alex and Roman have been playing in various bands for like 20, 25 years. It's just crazy. And then you got the Lie Heavy guys and all of the different bands they've been in. And of course, like you were saying, Karl singing in Corrosion of Conformity. And it's just like, wow, it's really special to see how far that can get stretched out in terms of ages of bands and how long bands have been around. And it's really cool, man.
And every member of every band stuck around and helped every other member of every band get their gear out, get their gear in. It was an amazing night. It was a great night.
That's what you got to do. And I learned that from a band as I was hosting early on. I learned that from Year of the Cobra, because I was a really, 10, 15, even maybe it was longer than 10 years ago, because I've hosted a bunch of bands at my house, and I really love John and Amy. And I guess it was probably 10 years ago I hosted them, and I was like, I watched them play, and I had to get up in the morning and go to work, and like, I'm going to go home. Do you guys want to follow me home? And they're like, no, we're going to stay till the end and watch all the bands play and talk with everybody. And then we'll head over and quietly sneak in to the house and go to sleep later. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And these are just things that you pick up as you go. I mean, you're not really supposed to know everything, but it is good to learn as much as you can, as fast as you can.
By the way, big shout out to Amy. She had a very big day today with Slower being released.
Oh yeah,
she killed those vocals. She killed them.
She's an amazing singer, dude. Like
the mainstream press has no idea what they're in store for. It's the best tribute album I've ever heard, ever.
Oh.
It is. I mean, you've got Bob Balch, you've got Scott Reeder, it's like, Oh my God, that's good stuff.
It's
Well, my friend, we have been at this for a little while now. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Red Mesa's new album's coming up.
Yeah. When is that?
Well, I'm not going to put it out on 420, but I'm going to put it out on 419.
Were you going to drop on 420? Seriously?
No, because that's a Saturday. And, my release schedule with my distribution with the label has to be a Friday, and that was the Friday that worked. And I was like, well, it's 419. All right, fuck it. We'll do it. And so I'm going to put the press release out Wednesday. This doesn't make any context on this video when people finally see it, but it's late January now, so I'm going to send everything out in 2 days, and it's called Partial Distortions. It's the fourth full length by Red Mesa. It's six tracks. We hit you with a 3-headed vocal attack with me singing and Alex singing lead and Roman singing lead too. And this is a really interesting record. There's no guests on this one because last time we had the late and great Dave Sherman on there singing vocals on Desert Moon on Pat to the Deathless, and Wino sang and did lead guitar on Disharmonious Unlife, and we had local friends here in town, Alex McMahon from the Growl Brothers, who were on Desert Records, and he did a bunch of lap steel stuff. Our friend Kristen Rad played violin on the previous record. This one's just the three of us, and it's really gnarly. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So Partial Distortions, Red Mesa is coming out 4/19, 2024.
And then we should probably start figuring out when I can interview the whole band about the album, maybe about 2 weeks prior to release if you're not too busy.
No, we're going to do it. We're in. Let's do it.
Okay. Dude, this is so worth waiting, 6 months? I know. I've been looking forward to this, of all the interviews I have lined up, this one, I'm like, it's about time we can sit down and talk. Can't wait to do it again in part 2 of the trilogy. And then I'll hopefully be able to interview Alex for Bass Gear magazine. I should put the little Bass Gear logo here.
Awesome, man.
Dude, stay in touch. Oh, you do anyway. Okay, bands. I want you to really hear this. How often do you and I chat on Instagram?
Well, between me, you, and Josh, because I know sometimes you're getting Josh, and you might.
Yeah, I have no idea who it is.
with Desert Bloom, but yeah, we try to talk every week. I try to talk to a lot of people every week. I mean, that's just how it's got to be. I mean, for me, guys like you, Scott, running awesome PR or review sites and podcasts and all this kind of thing. You guys are really like that lifeblood of getting everything moving between bands and labels and fans. And, for me, you guys you're the greatest thing ever. And I love you to death. And I want to say this, man, I have to say this, and this is totally off the subject, but I love that you're doing the clean and sober thing.
Thank you.
And we could have a whole hour long conversation.
I don't have anywhere to go if you want to bring it.
I've been sober from alcohol now for 3 months, and I work at a brewery. That's another job I have. And so the first 2 weeks really, really hard. Pouring beer and like, fuck, can't have a drink. But it was a decision that I made for myself because I am doing so many things and I felt like I was starting to slip and lose it. And I was getting frustrated and angry. And I haven't had any alcohol for 3 months, and I have played 3 Red Mesa shows completely sober, and I've felt amazing. And the only reason I'm saying this is rock and roll and metal and music in general is really self-destructive, and it's really, really, really easy to go down a slippery slope with whatever you like, And for me, that's been a big decision, and I don't think I'll probably quit drinking because it's not like I really have a problem with it.
Right.
It wasn't helping me.
Right.
And I've done a lot of drugs in my life, and I quit them all. And I still use cannabis. I eat edibles. I don't smoke anymore, but I eat edibles.
Good for you. No smoking.
I sing, and I don't know. I never liked it. Singing.
You don't want to be sounding like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more like I'm just like, but that's for me. Whatever I'm doing is for me. And, if anybody's out there thinking they need to clean up or whatever, or change their lifestyle, you can do it, man. Scott,
Yeah.
you're a great example. You're really inspiring.
Thank you.
Music is a mind-altering drug, period. So
Period.
you don't need anything to get high off it.
Yeah, sumo. As soon as I'm done here, I'm putting that on. And we're not straight edge here. Like, I wish I could. You and I will tell stories someday, not on camera. I've had dudes so baked. One, they were in a living room, right, and the front door's right behind him. It was horrible. He walks in and the smoke, it was like Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's like, what? I have Tommy Chong here all of a sudden, and his eyes are Chinese through the whole thing. Great interview. But yeah, the dudes on the other end have been baked. I had one band drinking. They were really self-conscious at first. We're not straight edge. So Clean and Sober Stoner is just a reminder that, hey, you can still have fun even if you're not stoned. And by the way, if you're in recovery, lighten up, man. Just lighten up about it. Drugs are not evil. Alcohol's not evil. Some people just need to look at the relationship. So really, I want to thanks for shouting that out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. I think it's just things, mental health
Yeah.
addictions and whatnot, things that aren't really talked about a lot in the music industry, and everybody's dealing with all kinds of things. And I kind of want to say this in the end, like, man, music is a trip because it can be quite a temptress,
Oh yeah.
and the idea of being in a band and putting out music can trick you into thinking things are going to happen to you, good things are going to happen to you, that truly they're not going to, and they may happen to that guy, and they may not happen to anybody you know. Point being is, if you're doing it for fortune and fame, most people have been doing it for a long time, know that that's not part of the game with rock and roll and metal anymore, really, and that's okay. But do it because you're expressing something that you need to get out of yourself, and you're doing it for yourself. And if people don't like it, that is not their fault, and they don't have to like what you put out. That's a very hard thing to sit with as an artist, but I think that's very, very important to try to remind yourself, as you do ultimately need to do it for yourself. And honestly, it's hard to balance life, man. Things are expensive these days, and we live in America, and it's very expensive here, and it's a very strange time.
It's
You
a
got to find a
bizarre
balance.
time.
You got to find a balance with your loved ones, whatever relationships you're in, and find the balance is key. And I think that is what I always go back to at the beginning end of my day is, did I find a balance to kind of make sure I'm taking care of everything in my life that I feel like is important and is prioritized, and always do my best at the end of the day, and don't expect anything, man. That's really key. If you love it, you do it, and that's it. And you treat people and you treat yourself with respect and love and kindness. And if you can't do that, you got to take a minute.
Totally agreed. And that's really good. And I think a lot of the people I talk to, the fame, like Wino, he's not rich and famous. He's kind of famous, but he lived the life he wanted to live. And is stoner doom, or if it's thrash, or if it's death metal, or heck, if it's disco, if it's what you need to do, just do it. Don't expect anything else.
Yeah. And I think Dave Grohl was saying about Wino, he was like, that guy should be rich and famous. Dave Grohl
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
about Wino, he's like, he knows. He's like, that guy's incredible, man.
Dave Grohl makes it impossible to hate him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a phenomenal. He's the ambassador of rock and roll.
He is.
Man, and he's amazing, dude.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend, I have turned into a pumpkin.
Yep. It's late on your end, Scott. Really appreciate you staying late with me, man. And yeah, dude, I just really appreciate having me on here. So thank you so much.